Hello guys and gals, and welcome to a special rant time. This one is actually powered by LG. Now the video you're seeing on the screen is from the new LG G4 flagship title that they have. They actually sent our studios a early release copy of the unit for review purposes, and here we are somewhat reviewing this phone. Now first off, I gotta actually admit the phone itself is great. Battery life is amazing on it, and the picture quality, God knows what, everything is perfect on this phone. It's worth absolutely what the price is, and one of the facts is all the games we're about to test over here actually do run at 30 to 60 frames a second with very, very, very minimal slowdowns. But that being said, this is a segue into what the topic of our video is. Now, if you have looked at the title, this is a rant time on mobile gaming. Now, I talked about mobile gaming a while back, how feasible it was, and how important it was to the overall gaming structure. And at the time I was more pessimistic about that feeling, because at the time, a lot of mobile games were pretty much your standard freemium titles and really games that were so heavily casualized. But the more and more I look into it, and the more and more I am nowadays, with work and everything, I do play a lot of my games mobily. I don't actually sit down in front of a console or my PC anymore, and when the time I do get to do it, it's often rarer because I'm often busy and working and whatnot. Sometimes because I work in front of the computer as an editor, I really don't even want to play any games anymore too, so I go and do other things. But for the most part, a lot of my gaming is done through cell phones, and I had sort of an epiphany with this when I was flying out to Arizona a few weeks ago. And during the flight, which is about 6 hours long, I actually managed to sit down and play my cell phone. Now, I had my Nintendo 3DS with me. And again, we're going to cover that in a little bit, but I had my phone on me and I decided to play a couple games. So what you're seeing on the screen here should be, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, provided I'm a competent editor and put that footage up there. But this is Grand Theft Auto Vice City running on the G4, runs really, really smooth, by the way. And I thought to myself, out of the two dedicated handhelds, the Vita and the 3DS, which are considered the real gaming platforms for portable, levels, don't actually have this title. And there was a time a few years ago when we were playing mobile games and we really had all the casualized stuff. We were just playing Angry Birds and whatnot, and all those Facebook type games that carried over. But looking at it now, guys, it's kind of crazy to know that you can get Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, San Andreas, and even the Chinatown Wars, the excellent title they have over there, one of my all-time favorite GTA games. You can now play them all on these cell phones, and that's freaking crazy to think about, because on the cell phone, at least, when you're looking at Vice City is a game that is several hours long. It is a huge title, and for it to be running on a cell phone, a device that is really, really small, by the way, is great. All just running in the palm of your hands too. There used to be a time where we had cell phones that had gaming functionality like the N-Gage, but turned out to be a little less desirable than was expected. And now we have cell phones that are capable of running huge titles like this. And you can run a San Andreas, which at one point melted home consoles almost. The PS2 was almost dying to, running this title, and now it can be ran on higher resolutions, better graphics on the palm of your hand. In fact, the best version is in the palm of your hands, a re-released HD version that they have. And it's not just that, everyone. You got games like Deus Ex. You even got titles like Modern Combat 5, which, yeah, they're free-to-play titles, and yeah, they carry some of the freemium tropes, but they stand toe-to-toe with premium hardcore titles like Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified for the Vita, a really, really abysmal title, and they stand up toe-to-toe. Literally, these are console-quality experiences brought to you in the palm of your hands. And again, like I said, way back in the day, there used to be a time where games like this were kind of laughed at. They were scoffed at too. Nobody ever thought that cell phones would hold up in the gaming sphere. But it's not just this. You can go on any of the numerous app stores and play stores and whatnot. You can get titles like Monster Hunter Unite for cell phones, which, again, one of the criticisms with this is touchpad controls. And you know what? There was a time when people said, well, you can't use touchpad controls. They're unbearable. But you know what? At this point in time, developers have sat down, really gotten their act together, and they have pumped out some of the best, looking titles, but also the most controllable titles on mobiles as well. And again, one of the big criticisms is that how our touch control is going to be implemented. Do we have to use them? You're not forced to even use them too. You can sync up your PS3 controllers, you can sync up any controller to it via Bluetooth or hook it up to a cable, I guess. and just play games that way. And you know what? It works 100% of the time. It absolutely works, and that's a crazy feeling, everyone, for something like this to just be so readily accessible in today's gaming world. You basically avoid the use of touchpad controls in that regard too. You can just hook up a controller and play it the old-fashioned way. And again, these systems aren't even just defined to, the games that are available on the respective stores. If you're on the Android store, regardless, you can get a bunch of emulators like a Game Boy Advance emulator or a DS emulator and play awesome titles from those libraries of games and bring them along with you. And that's really crazy to think about, because back in the day, no one really expected this to happen. No one expected the stuff to flourish up. And partly that was due to the fact that the technology was lessened back in the day. We never had, like quad-core processors in phones. But this phone right here is packing 6 cores, 3 gigs of RAM, whatnot. It's faster, theoretically better than some, actual PCs out there. That's why you're able to get games like Grand Theft Auto running on here. That's why you're able to get your Deus Exes. That's why you're able to get, Modern Combat 5, Need for Speeds, and Lord knows what else. Because these systems are powerful enough to just stand up toe-to-toe. And a lot of people say, is it as strong as the Vita or the 3DS? Technologically, they're stronger than both those systems combined. And with developers like Nintendo, which at one point were exclusive to their own sector, now are deciding to make games for the mobile platforms. And that's a big game changer, guys. That's a big game changer. A lot of you ask me, where's mobile gaming? How strong is it? Well, I'll tell you right now. It's standing up toe-to-toe to the console brethren as well. And one of the main factors about this, and this is one thing about RANT time too, a lot of it is my opinion, but I'll throw some facts out on you too. People like convenience in video games. No one likes to meddle around with settings or make sure that the game doesn't work. That's why a lot of people turned off from like PC gaming, because as great as PC gaming is, there are inherently a lot of flaws that go with it too. Not to say that nowadays they're so prevalent, they're really not. PC gaming is as accessible as really console gaming nowadays too. But looking at cell phones, they're even more accessible than both those combined, because all you really have to do is just fire up an app and it works for the most part. Sometimes, yeah, there's crashes, there's glitches here and there, but it's technology, it's complex code, it is to be expected. It's to a certain degree, mind you. We don't want anything like an Assassin's Creed Unity happening. But they work fine for the most part, especially, on any of these high-end premium devices too. Whether you got this phone or any other high-end device, they work, and they work splendidly. You got titles like Minecraft, which are somewhat better than the console versions too on the mobile device, because even on the cell phone right here, you can get an infinite world which you can't even get on an Xbox One or PS4. It's standing up toe-to-toe to like the next-gen systems in that regard too. And it's not just Minecraft that it has. Even if you look at it technically, the Minecraft here is better than the Vita version or whatnot too. It is a more it's a give or take, I guess you could say. If you think Infinite Worlds are better than, some features on the Xbox One, PS4, Vita versions, or the 360 PS3 versions, then it's your cup of tea. But you have to factor in the fact that it has Game Boy Advance emulators, it has Sega CD emulators, you can play Snatcher on your device, you can play hundreds and hundreds of games on your device, and it's so easy to get them set up now. Literally, they all come with guides and whatnot. So, there used to be a level of difficulty to it, but now it's just really easy. And that changes everything, because when I was sitting on this plane, again, I'm going to go back to this, when I was sitting on this plane for 5 hours, I was able to play games like Metal Gear, Final Fantasy VII, Snatcher, once again, Pokemon Soul Silver, Modern Combat, well, not Modern Combat 5, sorry, I was playing that while I was in the plane before we had to launch off, because once you get rid of the internet, you can't play that game. But I was playing San Andreas, I was playing all these other titles, I even finished half of GTA 3 in that flight, and I did it all in like, I think half the battery life, but that's because flight mode was on and I wasn't dealing with, the drainage of the battery from the, cellular features inside. But regardless, these systems even stand toe-to-toe with the batteries of, modern devices, and I guess that's an arbitrary point to some, but it's a big thing too. These systems have gotten stronger, they're capable of running games, they're capable of running things on the Unreal Engine 3 and 4. There's devices like the NVIDIA, I think it's the NVIDIA Grid or the Shield, I don't know, but that device is able to, it's an Android device and it can run like Crysis 2 on Max. But looking at this phone right here, the LG G4, it's running high-end games at 30 to 60 frames a second very smoothly. And the battery life on this thing, holy, It is amazing, let me tell you that. I mean, I'm gonna make this a primary phone because it was running on a 2-day battery life, which for a smartphone is like amazing because, you know, if you if you were used to any other real smartphone, you know, I remember way back in the day, like a year ago, my old smartphone too, I had to like charge it twice a day, and I had to buy like a car charger, keep it plugged up because the battery was so like dead all the time. But, you know, here it ran for 2 days straight, and I was using it moderate to heavy use, gaming here and there, checking my emails, calling, primarily the works. And that's a whole nother thing with convenience too. You don't want to carry around a bunch of devices. All I have to do with this phone is I can check my emails, I can browse my internet, I can look at YouTube, I can watch a movie on Netflix, I can send a text message, I can, you know, send my, employees something to read or whatever, you know, an email, a memo and whatnot, and I can play a game all at the same time. Not at the same time, but, you know, I can, well, kind of. I mean, the phone actually here does feature dual window support, so you can have 2 apps running, but regardless, I can do all those things on one device, so I don't have to lug around multiple different things. I don't have to bring my 3DS with me or my Vita with me necessarily. I can bring my phone with me, one device, make my calls, do everything, and game at the same time. And let me tell you, I game primarily portably now too, and I can revisit a lot of my old games. I'm currently playing Final Fantasy VI on my phone, you know, while I'm at work, or, you know, on you know, public transit rides around the city and whatnot when I'm not driving. But regardless, you're able to do a lot of this stuff, guys, and this is where mobile gaming is taking over. And once again, let me tell you right now, I believe gaming can be done on anything. I'm a gamer. I don't game primarily on the Xbox or the PlayStation. I'm not one of those types of people. If I'm having fun gaming, and it doesn't have to be a hardcore game or a casual game, if you have fun playing a video game, regardless if it's on a cell phone or the world's best gaming computer, you're a gamer, and you're having fun, and you're enjoying it, and that's what it's all about. And you know what? I'm finally having really awesome experiences just on mobile gaming alone too, and that is a really awesome thing to say. So nobody should really knock it. I mean, it's just another, you know, foray we have to play games too on here. I know there's a lot of stigma with mobile games too, where there's a whole bunch of freemium titles that are really bad, but you know what? That's not necessarily the case. Mobile gaming is changing in strength. It's changing completely. I mean, now you can get titles like Star Wars, Knights of the Old Republic, versus, you know, where you always had like these Facebook-esque titles released on the phone. Those exist, but you still have really deep experiences. That being said, I do have to thank LG once again, the fine folk, for sending our studio an early release unit of the LG G4. You know, this phone, I'm going to be very honest with you, I'm totally covered under the, you know, US sort of promotion laws, I guess you could say. I will personally state, from my own standpoint, I do enjoy this phone. It is a very decent title. You guys, if you're in the market for Android phones, definitely hit this one up. Again, you know, with gaming itself too, it's so commonplace. You know, even my brother, who's running on an older Android device, is still playing his DS games at full speed. As long as, you know, your phone's relatively new, relatively decent spec'd out, you'll be gaming for a long time on it. But yeah, this video is brought to you by the fine folks at LG. Thanks for the LG G4 unit. Again, games run ultra smooth on this, phone runs ultra fine, long battery, and that's really one of the main things you need for gaming too. That being said, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe for more content. This is me, Mutahar, and this has been Rant Time. I am out.